Yo guys, it's the JCraft channel, today with a review about this. So this is a 3D printer obviously, and it's the Ender 3 version 2 as you can tell by the hot end here and other things like the toolbox and the LCD screen. But yeah, so I'll be doing a review about this, so let's get started. Okay, so as you might notice, you might be like, well, what in the world is this thing? So this is actually a Raspberry Pi with a Wi-Fi, a USB Wi-Fi dongle, because this is the Raspberry Pi 2, so it doesn't have onboard Wi-Fi. So use the little Wi-Fi like adapter little dongle thing, and it gives you Wi-Fi, which actually works pretty good. And then there's a USB cable connecting to the printer. You can notice I taped out some stuff, especially this because it was making my iPad try to scan it, which is kind of weird. It just brings you to the Creality website who makes these printers. So I have kind of a ghetto camera right here. That's a 3D printed part that I connect to the Raspberry Pi, as you can see through the camera slot there. Here's the power for the Pi that is actually coming from a custom outlet right there, which I'm going to eventually put into the wall. If you can't tell already, we're in the garage, the JCraft channel garage. So the Raspberry Pi is running Octoprint, which basically is a software that you can put on a Raspberry Pi called Octopi. It's basically Octoprint, Octopi. And it lets you do wireless Wi-Fi printing, view it, move the printer, do all that kind of stuff, which I'll show later. But yeah, so first let's review the printer itself. So as you can see, I made this little upgrade. By the way, this is a cover that I also made myself. It's just 2x2s and plexiglass and a smoke detector over here and an LED strip, which I'll show functionality of later, of course. This is a nice modification that I printed with the same PLA filament, and it basically keeps the filament here, because if you see the design of this printer right here, the filament goes through, if you can see, to the extruder arm. This is a Bowden type system, by the way, which means there's a tube that runs to the hot end, rather than a direct drive extruder, which would have this motor right on top of here, so there would be no white tube right here. Anyway, this still works just fine. So the filament goes through there, and you can see the Z lead screw right there. And this is the motor right here, and the filament goes through here, through this hot end, and it's cold right now, and it comes out right there. As you notice, here's the bed right here, Ender logo right there, and it's a heated glass bed, which is pretty nice. As you can see, trying to level it in the past left some filament embedded somehow into the glass right there. You can see this is a JCraft channel logo right there. So that's that, and I made a few modifications, and I'm planning on doing more. So one of them is this chain back here. I'll leave a link in the description to the Thingiverse website if you have a similar printer and you don't want these cables getting caught in everything. This is a pretty nice design. It just goes on the motor right there, and it's just a chain. I'm still printing the pieces for the wire there. So yeah, as you notice, there's this wire going up this side here, up here, and then the LED strip is on the top right there. And so that's the lighting. And yeah, this little drawer is really nice to have as well. I have spare parts like the coupling that would go over there, and clips and zip ties and random things. So yeah, another thing I did was I put a relay that switches on and off the power for this printer via these two wires that get connected to the Raspberry Pi, which I'm still working out. I just currently have them connected to positive or 5 volts and ground, so it will switch on when the Raspberry Pi turns on, which I'll show right now. So plug this micro USB cable in, and there it goes. So as you can see, the Raspberry Pi is running, and the printer is on. They go on at the same time, which is very nice to have. And I'm not using the stock like UI that much because I'm using Octoprint to wirelessly control my printer. The lights actually work. Look at that. So, as you can see, if I turn off this light right here and turn off this light over here, oh yeah, look at that. Those RGB lights right there. And I can control the printer from here, do all the settings, but I'd much rather prefer to control it from a computer, which I'll show. Okay, so over here on my computer, as you can see, I have a bunch of Cura files, which are all STL files and G-code files and all that for my printer. But if I go over to Edge, because I love the browser, and go to octopi.local, it will bring me to this screen. And right now it's connecting to that Raspberry Pi that I showed earlier. So, as you can see, it says, loading Octoprint's UI, please wait. So, once you wait for it to completely load the user interface, then you can notice that I added a lot of plugins to this. So, it's no longer bare as it was before. It just, as you can see, here's the webcam stream, and you can see the lights going on and off. So I can turn on and off the lights right there, as you can see up in the toolbar. So now they're on, which is really, really cool. You can see that these values are all for the Raspberry Pi, the top 3, and then it's my printer. It's connected via USB, it's operational, and you can see the temperatures right here. So that's pretty cool. I go right to temperature, and as you can see, the nozzle or tool is at 15.6 degrees Celsius, and the bed is at 15, so that's pretty cool. I go over here to control, and as you can see, there's the webcam. I also installed another plugin that lets me go full screen, so that's nice that I can see more displayed right there. And as you can see, here's the plugin manager right here, or all the plugins I have enabled. And RGB status is the one it's currently on. And progress bar, I can have startup effect, that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is pretty neat that I can control all this. I think that I'll set it to a solid color, and it will be white so I can see what's going on when it's just sitting there. Okay, cool. And then just like that, I'll save it, and I'll wait for it to do all that. And as you might have noticed, I can control every function of my printer through the software. So I can do time lapses, and I can you know, like move the print bed and nozzle, and move the height of it and all that stuff. So now you can see idle is white, and now it's white, so I can see it a little bit better. Terminal, this is just what the printer is sending over. Time-lapse, I don't use this time-lapse. I use this thing called Octolapse, which I'll show. File manager, these are just some files that I've printed. And then right here I have G-code viewer, Octolapse, STL viewer, and YouTube Live. I might do some 3D printing YouTube live streams in the future, but I gotta get to 1,000 subscribers for some reason, which is kind of weird. But if I go to Octolapse, you can see that this is a really cool software. So my printer, Stabilization, this is basically where the print head looks like it's staying, which I'll show in a video a little later. Trigger is just smart. Rendering is 30 frames per second. My camera, and then just that kind of stuff. So if I go ahead and preheat PLA, which is the filament that I'm using right now, it's the gray stuff. That's that, and then yeah, you can see that the temperature of the processor inside of the printer is 31.5 degrees Celsius, and the actual nozzle is 61 degrees Celsius. Bed is 24 degrees, and as you can see, I have a graph of the temperature over time and the target temperature and the actual temperature. So that's a really nice function. So yeah, I'll just wait for this to keep heating up, and I'll wait, or you'll see that in a minute. Okay, so as you can see, I have the tool is at temperature and the bed is at temperature. So I can actually start a print and we can see how that will run. So I'll just print a simple, let me see, let me upload a Jcraft little, it's a very small little logo. And as you can see, I just put a prefix here, meaning that gray filament, because I have gray and black filament, different temperatures and different slicer settings. So I want to differentiate that, so I put a G, and then JC, so Jcraft, and then G code. So let me start the print and show you it. Alright, so we're back in my room, and so here's the result of that print right here. You can see it. It's a little Jcraft logo. And so yeah, this is the result of the print. It only took like, I think 20 or 30 minutes. And that's really nice. You can see pretty good quality right there. And when the glass bed cools down, then it is super easy to take these off. So that's really nice. And this is actually a few days in the future from when I last recorded that, and I got some new flexible filament. So I'll show you a print with the flexible filament and wrap the video up, I guess. So yeah, let me go show you a flexible filament print. Alright, so I'm back with a benchy, which is basically a little boat. You've probably seen them before. And so this flexible one didn't turn out the best, but I know exactly why, because right there it looks really nasty. That's because I was taking a time lapse and the nozzle was moving over and it was still extruding a little bit, and then it would move over and then it would get that all nasty right there. So but for the most part, this is super cool. It is flexible, and I don't know if you can see that, but I can flex it around. That's pretty neat. And also, I have PLA Plus in black, and I made a actually good quality one out of it instead of the TPU, which I'm still, and the TPU is the flexible stuff, which stands for thermoplastic urethane, and that's just flexible stuff you can remelt and that kind of stuff, so it's good for 3D printing. But this is PLA, or polylactic acid, and it's PLA plus, so it's like a blend. I don't really see a difference except a higher temperature you need for this. Maybe it's a little bit stronger than normal PLA, but I don't really notice a huge difference. So as you can see, it did a really good job at printing this benchy in black. You can see how nice it is right there. There's the bottom. And Yeah, there's absolutely no stringing at all. Whereas with the flexible one, if you can see, is stringing, which is not good. And that's again because even though the extruder was going backwards, it wasn't enough, and there was still a little plastic there that would string across. But pretty much mastered printing in PLA, and you can see this is really, really nice. So there are a few spots, but for the most part, it's a really good print. So I guess that's pretty much it for this review. So thank you so much for watching my videos, and I honestly can't believe I have as many subscribers as I do right now, and we're still growing in subscribers, so that's super cool. And thanks so much for watching to the end if you're listening to this. If you're not listening to this, then you're not listening to this and you skipped off, and well, anyway, thank you so much for watching the whole video. It got kind of boring in spots, but thanks for sticking around. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. It's free. And if eventually you don't like at all what I'm doing, then you could just unsubscribe. But subscribe if you're new or aren't and been watching my channel, that's fine. Just subscribe and like the video or dislike the video. Just tell me what you thought of the review. And thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys on the next one.